about board games in about 3 minutes, 27 seconds, because I made a highly unnecessary video, so I would have to talk less, which I'm going to play. I'm not going to look at anyone while it's on. It features a cameo from my housemate, because I made it yesterday. He was being very disruptive, interrupting it, so the only way I get him to shut up is if he was in it. So he appears, but just, and then I'll talk a little bit more, but don't, yeah.
Good morning, and welcome to my TLB creativity session on board games. Are you bored and fed up of using the same old revision methods? Tired and frustrated of preparing endless resources? Well, why not revolutionize your lessons and teaching life by trying out a board game or 2 or 3 or 4. Using board games in your lessons can be ideal for all sorts of work. Individuals work in pairs, small groups, and yes, even as a whole class. In your handout packs, you've got templates of blank board games, including family favourites such as Monopoly and Snakes and Ladders. Board games literally can be used in every single subject, so why not roll the dice and have a go? Try something different in your lessons today. If this is all a bit vague so far, yep, fair enough, so here could be some potential examples for you to use. I gave my Year 8 class a chance to make their own versions of Snakes and Ladders, covering anything that we may have covered in English this year. Here's some examples of what they came up with. Pupils worked individually on this task, but the number of spaces on the template allowed differentiation to occur. This one is an example of a more able student, where all the boxes have been filled in, whereas less able pupils are still able to have a go, just not fill in as many spaces. This activity was successful as at the end of the lesson, pupils could swap board games with a partner and have a go at playing each other's work. Alternatively, pupils can work collaboratively, like these guys here. The following example is English specific, but don't be afraid, you can edit it for your subject. In English GCSE, pupils read plenty of texts, like this fantastic anthology, Moon on the Tides. They also study Lloyd Jones's novel, Mr. Pip. Here is my housemate Alex enjoying the read. So over the course of Year 10 and 11, we made our own board game as a class. I had endless fun making this template. But don't worry guys, they did all the hard work. Each space on the board has on it a title of a short story, a poem, or a key feature of the novel that we studied. Groups of pupils would be allocated 2 or 3 of those spaces, and after having studied their relevant space, would have to come up with a set of 4 or 5 questions which members of the class would answer. Every couple of weeks we would revisit the board game. I would roll a dice that would land in a space, and a question would be posed to a random member of the class. If they got the question right, they would own that space of the board. However, 2 weeks later, if it landed on that space again, another pupil would be asked with a harder question, giving them the opportunity to earn that poem or short story off their peer. This culminated in the final lesson of Year 11, playing the board game as a whole, with each text and relevant topic having been studied, and pupils worked against each other to see who knew the most about their topics. This worked excellently as an interesting way of revising. Hopefully that's given you a few examples of ways in which you could use board games in your own subjects. But trust me, they really are adaptable and the pupils do get a lot from them. Enjoy it, roll the dice and see how much fun you can have.
So, I'll go very quickly. So you've got these handouts. It said on the video that there was a Monopoly one, there isn't, but if you want one, I can easily give you one. And so the Snakes and Ladders one, which I just explained in the video, is very, very easy. So in English, for instance, we've got them all here. Year 8 gave them a task to work for about 20 minutes, anything that they've covered in English over the year. So things like 5 different persuasive writing techniques. Give an example of a simile about a dog, okay, that's what someone came up with, or about a book which we may have read. But you can edit that in your subject, so history, any topics that you've done in history, you've got some questions. Everyone knows the rules of Snakes and Ladders, it's very, very simple to do. You have one of Guess Who, which again, English is very easy for these kind of things, but so when you do a book or story, you come up with the characters, guess the character who's who's who, but in history again you can do any historical figures, or in science you can do one about the periodic table, each element, guess who the element is. But I'll explain this one a little bit more, because you can edit this for whatever your subject needs. It's a bit of work at the start, but if you do it properly, it's quite good, or it works quite well. So it's only this big, because in English they give you 2 anthologies of all the poems and lots of short stories, and they do a novel as well, so it's down there. So at the start of the year, I put pupils into groups of 3, and I allocated them each like 3 or 4 spaces on the board. And after that, so when we did Brendan Gallagher, for instance, I'd go up to that group, I'd have a copy of them, and their homework would be to come up with 5 questions about that poem, starting easy and getting more and more difficult. And so the next lesson, once we've done about 5 or 6 of these different boxes, you'd roll the dice, you'd land on it, and the group that come up with questions for each one would ask them to the class, pick someone random, and if they got it right, they would own that piece of the board. If they get it wrong, they went to jail, and I had to make up some questions. So in English, there was questions about how do you spell this word, where does the capital letter go, blah blah blah. But in your subject, you can make it just general knowledge type things. And then, so if 2 weeks later, if the space, so for instance, I had Tatiana in my class, I don't know if anyone taught her, who's very good. So she owned a lot of this board. So if she got a question right about Brendan Gallagher, Tatiana's post-it note would go there. When you'd roll the dice again 3 weeks later, a harder question would come out, and a person could win that space off Tatiana. Okay, so in English it's like this. But in PE, so you could do it when you do a PE theory topic as a way of revising everything after you've done it. I can't think of any GCSE PE topics, but it could be different boxes about parts of the body or something, and a question could come up. And then at the end of the lesson, last ever lesson in year 11, we played the whole thing, because we would have covered all of this. We played the whole thing as a class, it was quite good. But you've got plenty of blank templates. Geography, I've done one which might be applicable, which is kind of like a role-play game, where they take on the character as water. They have to go and get their water, and it's kind of what people do, process people go through to get water in certain countries. So you start off and you do on a nice little walk, and then all of a sudden it rained overnight and dirt got washed into the well. You fall ill, so you miss a turn. So it kind of reflects a role play of what they may have studied in geography. So I know that from the English is very easy to do these type of things, but even if you just give a blank template, one-off lesson, just to revise a topic that they've done, it's good at an end of unit thing. So languages, you can do different vocab or something, so you can have words all around here, and you've got to give definitions of each word or something like that. So you can use these templates if you want to have a little think now about how you might edit them in your own subject. So I guess with maths, you could just have different mathematical questions which get harder and harder and harder the more you get up to the board. It's meant to get harder as you go along. And then all you need though is dice. So I had to rummage my mum's cupboard, steal all the dice from her board games. Depends how big your class is. So that's the only thing really that you need to have. Okay, the rest you can use templates, you can make your own quickly. It's not to cost anything, but it's definitely good as starters and as revision. Okay, so to go over what you did last lesson, or to go over a whole topic as a whole. Hopefully, anyway, you might get some useful ideas. Have a couple of minutes now, maybe, if that's it, to start to think about how you might use these in your subjects, if you want. Oh, so then they can't roll again until they get it right, for instance.
So we like multiple questions.
Yeah, so they miss a turn. So if they get it wrong, they miss a turn, or they can't move on until they get it right, or something like that. So they can also make up their own rules as well. So no, we did it as, so as soon as we did a poem, that group would go home and come up with questions. So it built up over 2 years. We played it up, after we've done about 5 or 6 or something, otherwise there was no point.
Say, for example, like juicy here, is that kind of the first one on there, and they come up with the questions by the time you keep holding the questions.
Yeah. All that group did as well, so I was told to type it up. You can upload it to the front.
And were they the same questions?
If you go over all of them as well, you've got to listen to the phone one.
Yeah.
I don't know. Housemate.
Missed your call and
CBC style. You can use it here, couldn't you, a bit?
Yeah, definitely. We do games, don't we?
Alright guys, thank you very much.
Better than Rebecca.